Hi, welcome back to another segment of You're Cooked. Today I'm going to be baking a cake as suggested by Miss Donner. This cake is going to be based off of a peppermint mocha because it's close to the holidays when I'm recording this. And so the base cake is going to be a chocolate cake with a coffee undertone, and then I'm going to be making a peppermint buttercream to go on top of it. So to start off with the base of the dry ingredients, I have 2 cups of flour, 2 2/3 cup sugar, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 2 1/2 teaspoons of baking soda, a little salt, and about 1 1/3 cups of cocoa powder. And then I'm just gonna combine this on low until it's well incorporated, and then I'll add my wet ingredients. I don't have to worry about over mixing, but just mixing too fast will throw dust particles and everything everywhere and it'll make a mess. I also did initially sift everything in there, and while that's not a necessary step, it does help with making sure that all dry ingredients are well incorporated throughout the whole bake. I'm also going to use a spatula to break it up a bit and make sure that everything's getting well incorporated. Once I'm fairly certain that everything's been well combined, I'm going to go in and in no particular order add in my wet ingredients. It's about 1 cup of buttermilk, 1 1/3 cup of just coffee, I just used a quick Keurig to brew up a quick cup, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, 4 large eggs, and a stick and 3 tablespoons of butter, so around 11 tablespoons. Now I'm gonna start mixing it so it starts getting combined. My oven's ready. And now because most of the flour has dissolved into the liquid, I can speed it up, but I also don't want to overmix and incorporate too much air, because then I'll get a lot of air pockets when I end up pouring it into the cake pan. But I do want to make sure that everything gets well incorporated. And then I have 2 9x2" cake rounds that I've prepared on a baking tray. And to prepare them, I just cover them in a little bit of cooking spray and a layer of parchment paper, and I'm gonna fill them up about 2/3 of the way with this mixture, and then put it in the oven at 350 degrees for 35 to 40 minutes until it comes out, cake tester comes out dry from the center. So I took the cakes out of the oven and I put them in the fridge to chill while I make the peppermint buttercream. And this is just a simple American buttercream. I'm gonna start with 1 stick of unsalted, slightly mushy, so a little bit warmer than room temperature butter. And I wanna cream this so it gets nice and smooth. And I'm using the paddle attachment and going slow because I don't want to incorporate air. I want it to be a cream and structurally sound buttercream. And this part won't take long. And then in this bowl, I have around 450 grams of sifted powdered sugar, which I sifted in order to get rid of the clumps. So when I pipe it, it won't get stuck and it'll just have a smooth, consistent flavor. I really want to make sure it's all getting processed, so I'm going to scrape the edges because this mixer especially is really bad at getting down deep into the bowl. And once I have a pretty good texture, kind of like that, smooth, just broken up, I'm going to incorporate in batches to not explode everywhere, the powdered sugar. Maybe about half of the big bowl. And once again, slow. So it turns out I forgot the 2nd stick of butter I left out. The nice thing about buttercream though is that a lot of things are easily fixable just by adjusting your ratios. So I just added the butter back in and let it spin a little bit longer to really incorporate. And now that it's kind of got a good buttery smooth consistency like this, it's a little bit thick, but I have a little bit of heavy cream there to work that out after I've incorporated the flavorings. So because it's really sweet, I'm gonna add in about 1/2 teaspoon of salt just into the thing, and then I'll let it mix. And after just a little bit of mixing, I'm gonna incorporate the peppermint extract because it is a peppermint buttercream. That I'll let sit a little bit longer because I really want the flavor to mix throughout the whole thing. And then I have 2 tablespoons, and I'll just add in about a tablespoon to half a tablespoon in at a time until it has that smooth, delicate consistency that I'm looking for. And then I'm also gonna add red food coloring just to give it kind of like a peppermint candy cane-like color. I'm gonna add them in 5 increment drops, just because if I want to reproduce the recipe and I need more buttercream, I know it'll be some multiple of 5 that I can just build off of if I don't remember exactly how many drops I've used. All right, I'm gonna incorporate a little bit more, and then I'll go get the cake and I'll do an initial crumb coat. So I finished incorporating my buttercream and coloring it and flavoring it. And I have my chilled cakes here, both of them. And I have a large offset spatula and a tiny offset spatula and a bench scraper. And this is what I'm gonna be transporting the cake on. So I have a cake spinner right here. I have the display board for the cake, and I'm gonna do a double layer cake. And then to start it off, I'm gonna do just a little bit of buttercream in the center to kind of cement the cake in place. Now sometimes you do have to level the cake and cut off top of it. These ones actually came out beautifully, so I'm just gonna leave them as is. I don't see a point in trying to cut them and possibly ruining them. This one I think I'm gonna do bottom side up. The bottom seems a little bit wider. That way I can kind of come in more as I layer the cake, and I'll do the other side inverted so that the sides are more smooth. Then I'll put down just a dollop of the buttercream, and actually another handy tool is an ice cream scoop, because then you can be consistent in how much buttercream you're putting on, and it's just easier to squeeze in and out. And then I'm gonna just kind of weep around the edges. It does not need to be pretty because, like I said, it's a crumb coat, so you just want to lock in the initial crumb and kind of build that base layer for all of your decorations. The key is just making sure you have a nice even layer of frosting because you want it to sit level on the cake. And because this is the middle layer, I'm just going to put a little bit more just because I really want it to sit, but I don't want it to like fall over from too much buttercream. And this is a really time-consuming process, is just making sure every kind of minute detail looks good, fits well, and just trying to be very careful and avoid many errors. That looks good. I seem to have covered the majority of the cake, so patch up any light spots, and then I'm gonna add on my second layer. So now that I've finished crumb coating the cake, I let it sit in the fridge, and I made another batch of buttercream, and now I'm going to, the baking part is done, the resting part is done, it's set up, it's a blank canvas for me to just decorate, and I already have a plan. I'm just gonna do a smooth buttercream coating over the crumb coat, maybe pipe some swirls around the edge, and then maybe attempt some tempered chocolate. I'll just show you what it looks like when all the decorations are complete. So this ended up being the end result after I was done decorating. I finished smoothing the buttercream around the edges, and I piped some of the buttercream around the trim and on the top, and then I added some crushed candy canes to the top and the bottom, and I tempered some chocolate and made little trees and then put those around the sides. It may not be perfect, but I'm definitely very happy with it, and I hope it tastes delicious. Thanks for watching.